What's up, people? How y'all doing today, man? This your boy Hiddenmahdhi, aka Imperial Niggas. Shout out to One Way. Now, we're gonna present you a chart by Miss Tamika Baxter and her perspective. The name of the chart is Hidden Rules Among Classes, and I assume that she named it Hidden Rules Among Classes because they are the hidden rules that are among the classes pertaining to poverty class, middle class, and the wealthy class. And we often fall behind by holding this construct in our mind that we have to have some sort of a financial value or a number, or in today's world, due to social media and the social emphasis that media and TV programming has put us on, so we can continue to be workers, that we have to have a particular amount of money to graduate to a middle class and a wealthy class, or a condition, or rather a finance state, and that is totally wrong. And I'm here to tell you why that is totally wrong, and I'm here to tell you why that you are in the perfect position that you are destined to be, and where you need to be, and who you need to be in order to be there for your family, for your friends, and the people who truly love you, because it is all a mind state, and it is all a condition, and it's all a choice. Now, let's get into hidden rules among classes. Now, this on the left is money, personality, social emphasis. These are the things that are attributes that one may have in the system. Poverty, middle class, and the wealthy, you already know what that is. And the chart basically explains which each one, submits to when they're in these different classes. Now, let's start with poverty mind state. Now, the person in the poverty mind state, when it comes to dealing with money, is going to think about money as it's to be spent. They're going to go out, they're going to spend money in order to attain this validation, attain this sense of value, attain these things that make them feel good. They're gonna attend. They're gonna try to inherit these things that they think that is bringing them value, and they're gonna end up in the circle. A person in the middle class is gonna think about it. Is gonna graduate from the to be spent, usually around the ages of 21. He's gonna think like, damn, I spent a lot of money. Let me graduate and let me try to manage my money, depending on the friends he's around, depending on the conditions, the environments he's around. And this is why this is important. And this is why the system is so broken down, because the environments and the conditions and the friends and so forth, it all breaks down the pyramidal structure. But a person in the middle class is going to think about it as it is to be managed. Money is to be managed. And a person that is wealthy is going to invest that money. Now, all these things don't necessarily mean that you have to have money in order to think on a middle class mind state or on a wealthy mind state. No. You basically spend your money. You know that your money's going to shit. So you start to manage your money. You might invest in a business. You might just save your money. You might just sacrifice some things. You might just sacrifice these things based on the goals that you have and the destiny on things you want to be. But it's all about sacrifice. And then you invest that money. Now, one's personality in a poverty mind state, in order to recognize one who has the personality of a poverty mind state, they're usually the ones with a sense of humor. They're usually the ones who are laughing through life. They're usually the ones who don't really give a fuck. They're usually the ones who are ridiculing and making fun of people who don't have it, or judging and trying to gossip and ridicule and trying to bring somebody else down in lighten of their own sense of humor or their own sense of happiness. All it runs along sense of humor. This narcissistic mind state one has. Okay, while after a while, they realize that ain't working. They will move to an achievement middle class, depending on their persistence or depending on their ambition. One in the middle class has a personality of achievement. They want to achieve things. They go to college and they graduate and they get that sense of feeling, or they buy something that's an investment and they get that sense of a feeling. And then one who is wealthy, he thinks of on terms of connections. Like everywhere that he goes, he basically has a connection with it, because of his morality, his way of doing things. It's like he builds this this relationship through networking and connections, and builds connections and connecting, because that is the natural state of currency. Currency is built on basically a circulatory vibe. You basically give and you get and you receive. You give, but you don't give out of the need to receive, but you giving knowing that you're giving out of your heart. You're going to get that, and we know that currency is attracted to prosperity. So that's where the person with the connection. So all these things right here is just a graduation of mind state. It doesn't really even take finance. It doesn't really even take $1. All it takes is one's mind state. Like he goes from, I've been joking around in life long enough. I want to achieve something. He achieves that something. I want to build connections in that something. Building connections in that something, so that way I could have a more governed type of self-owned business. Social emphasis is a big one. Now, one in a poverty mind state, their social emphasis is, let me be included. It's always inclusion, you know what I'm saying? Let me subscribe to Facebook. Let me be on a Snapchat. Let me be on Instagram, which is totally fine. But when you stay in that inclusion mind state where you want to do things in the fashion, in the form, and you want to submit to the energy signature of this social media kind of fad, where you kind of just like want to do everything what everybody else is doing, you don't pretty much create your own energy signature. And energy signature would pretty much be in doing something that reminds people of you. Like for instance, like my name, if you hear the name Negus somewhere, that reminds you of me. If you knew me, it reminds you of me. It's like, oh, I know a friend named Negus, and everything that I do that stands behind Negus is an energy signature. I'm pretty much putting the name on the pedestal, and then I'm pretty much doing things in that kingship form, like So that is a social emphasis in a segment. So one in the poverty mind state, their social emphasis will be inclusion. One in the middle mind state, their social emphasis will be self-sufficiency. They can graduate from the inclusion onto the self-sufficiency, where you see many Instagram, many Facebook, many Snapchat people, they have Facebook ads, they have their own businesses, they have their rap careers. You see many people building these things, and some people are successful, and some people are still trying, which is cool. Now, one with the wealthy mind state, though, this is what got me. With the wealthy mind state is thinking exclusion. They don't need any validation. They don't need your judgment. They don't care. They're not thinking about being a part of the group. It's more of a formal networking with them. You know what I'm saying? They think on an exclusion. Their mind state in an exclusionary way, for lack of a better term, right? For lack of a worse term, but they think of on a mind state of an exclusion. Like they don't need to be a part of anything. They are too busy trying to own things and be out of the high profile. You know what I'm saying? Because high profiles bring a lot of unwanted attention, and unwanted attention can compromise a lot of the things that you're doing. They're very low key. I don't know if you've seen that movie Hustlers with J Lo. If you notice, she said that some of the top bosses, they don't want to be seen. They take the back door. They go all the way upstairs, and they get their private shows, and they spend all this money. But they want to do it so the media doesn't get involved. And that's how the wealthy thinks. And that doesn't take money for you to have. You can have these things without money. I mean, without having a lot of money. Excuse me. You got to have some sort of money. Now, food. A person in a poverty mind state, when they think of food, they think of it in a terms of quantity. How much food I got. You know what I'm saying? Me having a lot of food, it makes me comfortable having a lot of food in my refrigerator. I need a lot of food. I need a lot of this, a lot of that. And it's a lot of consumption and a lot of inflation. And we all know that in the economy, inflation compromises the economic system. Because what happens is that when you have inflation, you have too many goods coming in and not enough goods being purchased. So not enough goods are being absorbed, right? So if not enough goods are being absorbed, then those goods end up getting rotten, stale, old. They don't sell, and you end up buying more than you put out. You know what I'm saying? You end up buying more than you actually receiving. And this is where the current flow starts to not flow anymore. There's no cipher. You know what I'm saying? So one in the poverty mind state is thinking quantity, 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 where it's not much about the quantity. It's about the middle class. It's about the quality. You know, it's no different than buying a bag of weed. You buy a bag of weed, you say, you know what I'm saying, this is a lot of weed. Oh shit, I'm gonna smoke all this weed. But how good is the fucking weed? You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about the quality of weed. Is it the OG Kush or is it the OG Bush? Like, I don't want the OG Bush. I want the OG Kush. I don't give a fuck if it's motherfucking a 0.3. Just give me the motherfucker. That shit is gonna affect my neural networking, you know, the right way. You know what I'm saying? Target my prefrontal cortex, which it pretty much shuts down things in the order of it working as a whole, and it shuts down things and it goes to that single thing that uses to focus and be entertained and things like that. I forgot what part of the brain that is, but there's a part of the brain, you look that up. And then the wealthy, when it comes to food, thinks about the presentation of the food. The presentation meaning like pretty much like when I buy a package of ham, I'm looking at how they package that ham. I'm looking at how much that brand is really making money. How popular is that brand? Is it safe in that brand? Not only that, I'm looking at the ingredients of the brand. I'm looking at, you know, what's made in those ingredients. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking at everything about it. You know what I'm saying? How it's sealed. Is it from farms? Is it organic? I'm looking at all these things because at the end of the day, I'm worrying about my personal health. I'm not going to sit here and buy freaking key food brands and C-Town brands if I know it's going to compromise my health. And usually the people, they don't want you to know that because they use generic ingredients that's fucking you up. You know what I'm saying? What is that doing to your prefrontal cortex? You know what I'm saying? What is that doing? Everything is pretty much trying to compromise your prefrontal cortex. You need to be careful of that. Eat your avocados. You know what I'm saying? Eat your shit that you need to eat. Okay, we're not going to get into that. Now, time. One in the poverty mindset thinks about his time as in the moment. Everything is in the moment. You know what? I'm going to live it up. I'm going to live up in the moment. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to do this for now. You know what I'm saying? Now, and not really thinking about it in an optimistic way, basically. You know what I'm saying? One in a middle class mindset is more against the future. They think of themselves like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this right now for today and take it one step at a time and not thinking about my failures in the future of it not going right. But I'm going to take it one step, which is good. But then one in a wealthy mind state is thinking about things in a traditional state. Like, okay, I'm going to do this like my great-grandfather did it, or like his great-grandfather did it, or how my uncle did it, and how they made, and we pass it on through lineage on how we doing things. That way, we stay structured, and people follow our brand anyway, and we set a sort of a prestige, you know, because we are ones who are a family who is prestigious. You know, no difference than BMW. No difference than Jordans. Like, Jordans will bring out the old Jordan, right? And niggas will still buy it because he's following tradition. He's following the traditional way of bringing out a classic and then bringing a classic to the forefront. And people respect that because they say, you know what? This is a traditional way that, you know, of doing things. Plus, this is what I used to cop. You know what I'm saying? People are attached to things that they used to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I bought the old Jordans in 86, I'm going to buy the old Jordans in 96 because it was something I used to do and I consider that a classic. So all these are strategies that they're using in marketing, and I'm giving you the gems right now. Education. In a matter of education, in a poverty mindset, they think very abstract. What does that mean? They think in very abstract. Well, you know what the word abstract means. It's pretty much unique in a weird, strange, but wise way. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to really explain that, but when it comes to education, they thinking of themselves like, you know what? Let me just learn what it is to be learned here, but let me just put out my way of doing things in that with those educational degrees, and then we'll just see what happens. You know, pretty much they just put it out there with an abstract way of doing things, and it's not really traditional. It's not really prestigious. It's not even really optimistic, but it's kind of abstract. Like, you don't really know what it's going to make out of it. But hey, you never know, right? You never fucking know. But I would rather stick to traditional way of doing things. Now, The middle class, when it comes to education, they think of it on the terms of success and money. Like it's all about, being successful. Like being successful doesn't necessarily mean that you have to like have this successful business all the time. It just really much means that you accomplish whatever it is that you want to accomplish. That's what makes you successful. If I fuck a bitch real good, I'm successful in that. You know what I'm saying? If I pass my test, I'm successful in that. Don't ever get it twisted to think that you need to have a certain amount of something to be successful. You are successful in everything that you do. But the whole key of it is that you don't get held down by the forces of gravity. You defy gravity. You know what I'm saying? You defy failure. You know what I'm saying? You defy the tests of life. Because life is going to test you. I was thinking about this the other day. Life tests me constantly. I'm like, okay, if I'm late to work, life is testing me and saying, well, maybe you're not managing with your time. If I don't fuck a bitch right, maybe life is testing me and saying, hey, maybe you're not putting your 100% concentration into it. You know what I'm saying? If I go to the bus stop and I keep seeing the bus keep fucking passing, then it's telling me maybe I'm not consistent with my timing. Like, am I really being considerate of that, or am I just sitting around complaining? Because if I'm gonna complain, that shit's gonna happen for the rest of my life. Life can't help but to test you, because the universe, it can't help but to go by the laws of the universe. That's all it knows. So success and money, I kind of went off topic, but the middle class, they think of on terms of success and money, which is good. But the wealthy, they think about it on terms of maintaining their connections. They maintain the connections that they have, and pretty much meaning that they maintain the connections that they have. Like they pretty much take the education and they pretty much say, you know what? Let me just maintain what I learned. Let me just, keep connected with my teachers and my colleges, and keep reading these books that I've read and never let them go. Let me just keep on keeping on, with my past. Let me be traditional. Once again, tradition. You know what I'm saying? Once again, it brings a more prestigious essence to you. So, you could go on with that. Language. A person in a poverty mind state, when it comes to language, they think on a more of a casual register. Like they're thinking on a one set mind state. Like they're on a one set. Like pretty much they're like, you know what? I know English. That's all I need to know. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand that. Me codo, me noto, me siento con natros, nosotros, kininetros. All that Chinese shit that you're talking, all that Baghdad shit, all that shit like that. Nigga, I'm American. I'm American, bitch. This how we talk, nigga. This how we do it. And we changed up the language ourselves. We put slang to the shit. We put broken language to shit. We flipped the words. They done took the words and marketed the shit all over the place. They got us thinking it's all right, but it's still on a casual register. It's not really thinking, like, if you was to ever travel the country, you wanted to do business, you know what I'm saying? How are the Baghdad business going to look at you? How the Chinese men are going to look at you? You got to hire a Chinese man to do business for you. Hire a Baghdad motherfucker to do business for you. So you got to think about it like, whatever you're doing in life, like, especially as a rapper, like, if I'm going to travel the whole world, it's best that I know, what's going on around the whole world. I don't bring it back to America because, these motherfuckers, they ready to kill you over some power and shit like that. But, I pretty much network with pretty much like a formal negotiation, and this is where we move on to here. Formal negotiation, which is formal negotiation is I had it before, but formal negotiation is pretty much where you take the language and you pretty much are learning different languages, or you pretty much learning different type of cultures, and you're pretty much going amongst these different type of ethnicities, and you're pretty much negotiating with them, different things, that you see in a country. You just sharing with them like different things that you accept and you agree with and you don't agree with, and things like that. You pretty much building a relationship as you're going through these different places. And I was telling one of my friends this the other day. I was like, why are you going to vacations to vacate, all the time? It's cool to go to a vacation to relax, but then it's better to go to vacations where you could actually travel and learn shit of where you're going. Like if I'm gonna go to Barbados, I'm gonna chill on the beach, but I'm gonna take some tours. I'm gonna bring my motherfucking gun. I'm gonna bring a knife. I'm gonna kill any motherfucker that try to test me. But that I ain't gonna be fearful to not travel around and learn shit about Barbados, like the mountains and how they grew and what they ate and shit like that. And that's what builds formal negotiations. And from formal negotiations, you can graduate onto formal networking, where you pretty much are networking. We pretty much are networking from what you learned. Like you basically learned about Barbados, you learned about Jamaica, and now what you're doing is you going amongst the classes, and you explain it to them how you feel and what you feel that needs to be changed, onto a point where you change the shit yourself, because it is networking that you're doing. You're doing things the moral way. You ain't going over there trying to capitalize and colonize shit. You going over there, you negotiate using your formal negotiation, and you're going over there and then you networking through formal networking. And now let's talk about family structure. Now, family structure, now you'll notice that in the ghettos, or in the poverties, like in I wouldn't say the urban communities. I'll say in poor communities, not urban. You see, the problem is people like to label shit with everything being, urban this and urban that. It's not necessarily that only, because in these terms, different poor communities go through this. Now, matriarchal, what does that mean? That pretty much means single mother homes, like homes ran by females. Like females are used, even when they have a man at home, like the female is usually the strength. It's like she's the backbone of the whole house. Like there's no balance. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's always has to be an equality. Patriarchal is when the economy is ran by the government. It's ran by more men. Like it's more of a manly, masculine kind of system. And it's not shared between the woman and the man. Like a lot of things are patriarchal. Even in the Bible is patriarchal. The economy is patriarchal in America. In some countries they're not as patriarchal. They look at women just as high as the men. You know what I'm saying? And this creates a balance, and it creates this balance, man, this beautiful balance. But the wealthy is looking at family structure is on terms of who has money. Now, that threw me off for a second, but then I thought about it. A wealthy person would date you, but then they would ask you interventional questions like, what do you do for a living? What did your father do? What did your mother do? They want to know more about your family. They want to know, because they are careful about marrying into your family, because when they marry into your family and they share the same bloodline, right? They share the same bloodline. They want to make sure that your family is financially secure. You don't compromise their family. You don't compromise because of love. You know what I'm saying? When you're wealthy, love is different, man. Love is different. You can love somebody, but you got to be careful who you love. And it's fucked up, because love is so funny, because love is so pure that it don't even have no type of labels to the shit. It's just love. Like you could love somebody, and they could be just in a fucked up situation, but you can love them. But when you're wealthy, you think about it on the terms of who has money. And not to say there's nothing wrong with that, when there's something wrong with that, but I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry kind of situation. Wealthy people thinking about, family structures, who have money, and not compromising their wealth and their well-being and their reputation, so forth, so forth. Driving forces. One in the poverty mindset, their driving forces are relationships. They usually get these relationships and say, we're gonna build together in a relationship. That's how we're gonna do it. I'm gonna have these kids with you. You're gonna have these kids with me, and we're gonna come together. We're gonna put our money together, and then when we marry, we could file taxes on a joint return, and then we could build a business together and this and that. That's how they thinking. They thinking on a relationship level. You know what I'm saying? When it's supposed to be, on an achievement level. Say the driving forces on a middle class mind state is like, okay, I'm gonna date this person, and I'm gonna be driven by this person's achievements. What they achieved in life. You know what I'm saying? And it's bad, because the poverty mindset, their negative bias is like, well, that's fucked up. A brother could be trying to come up. You know what I'm saying? And then a bitch ain't feeling him because he ain't achieved shit. Once again, success, bro. Success doesn't necessarily mean you got to have a bunch of fucking money. You got to have a fucking own business. It don't have to be. It just means that you have to be successful in everything that you fucking think that you want to do. You get up in the goddamn morning and you gonna say to yourself, I'm gonna make breakfast that previous night, And if you make that breakfast that morning, you are successful. You are successful because you made that breakfast and you were about your word. And when that woman sees that you said something that previous night and you did it that next day, that makes you successful. That do not be broken by the programming. You know what I'm saying? Do not be broken by the programming. Okay? Okay. Driving forces for a wealthy person's mind state is financial and social. What would that mean? Their driving forces is their finances and their social, which falls back into the networking and their connections and the tradition and the presentation. And I'm gonna get to all that. Now, destiny. The poverty mind state when it comes to destiny is thinking about their fate. Can't, I can't do this, I can't do that, man. Yeah, I tried, man, but I can't, man. I can't get it up, man. I can't put the money in the bank. How I'm gonna do it? How, what, how? And fate, fate always thinking some powerful force in the sky is gonna help them get through their shit. So let me just pray on it. Let me just pray on this. Let me pray on that. Let me pray on this, pray on that. But when you think about it, what are you really pray to? You know what I'm saying? There is a God. But what are you really pray to? You're really pray to your weaknesses. If you get on your knees, right? And you pray about what it is that you don't have and you unfortunate of, what do you think is hearing you? Yes, God is hearing you. But guess what? Something else is hearing you, brother. Something else is hearing you. Your lower self, we can go on, you can call it devil, you call it Satan, whatever it is. That makes you pray. That makes you pray because you don't even believe in your own heart that you can achieve those things. You can be successful with those things. That makes you pray. And this is why P-R-E-Y and P-R-A-Y are some of the same, they run around this congruent of the same lines. You can become prey from what you believe and what you say. Be careful what you say. Speak things into the universe, speak things onto God as if you have them, or as if you want to achieve them rather than you desire them. It don't even make no sense. You know what I'm saying? What's the point of, getting all this freedom, you know what I'm saying, having all this opportunity out here and you being prey to your lower self? Like say I'm your lower self and I'm listening to you. I'm thinking to myself like, this motherfucker really do believe in me. Shit, I'm gonna stick around longer. You know what I'm saying? Like, pray, motherfucker, you pray to me. You know what I'm saying? You fool, nigga, you want a menu, nigga. Straight up. Like, I'm your lower self. Choice. One in the middle class, their destiny is a matter of choice. They're thinking to themselves like, you know what? I have a destiny, but I'm going to choose what I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? Let me just choose what I'm going to do. And then pretty much, I have a choice. Like, you know what I'm saying? I could just do this, like, do that, which is cool. You know what I'm saying? That's how you get your middle class finances. But then one with a wealthy mind state, they think of a sense of expectations. They thinking to themselves like, you know what? I expect to get that. I expect to get this. I expect to get that. High expectations. And does that take a lot of money? Yes, it takes a lot of money to have, but does it take having no money? You could still have expectations that have no fucking money. You could still have expectations that have no goddamn money or not even be that rich. I mean, like, come on. Like, think about it. Like, you could sit there and just be like, you know what? I ain't doing that shit. I expect that shit to happen. And really believe that shit? And really think that shit? Like, really go... Like, how many things that we expected and we fucking got in life? We got them shits. We got it. And it's not even only just sitting back on your ass and thinking about it and feeling it. It ain't even about that. It's like we just go on in life just knowing. It'll be no difference than these women, right, who go out there and they expect to get a man. They expect to get treated a certain type of way. They got high expectations, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, they doing things. They're like they'll make up their face. They'll keep their shit clean and all this shit. All this runs congruent with how they think and how they feel, and then boom, they get the man that they want. You know what I'm saying? And then they do what they have to do. Now, let's wrap it all up. Once again, shout out to Tamika Baxter. Let's wrap it all up. Now, forget all this. Forget poverty and middle state. Let's just start thinking along these lines right now, right? We all are in our wisdom. we're going to think like this. From now on, I'm going to be an investful type of person. From now on, I'm gonna be one who invests in things. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be one who invests in my future. I'm gonna be one who invests in my future, who invests in anything that I do. I invested in. I'm gonna be one who wants connections. You know what I'm saying? Anything that I do, I'm thinking like, you know what? I'm not kissing no ass. I'm not thinking like that, but I'm thinking to myself like, you know what? If I'm gonna work here, I'm gonna find out everything that I have to know about the job. I'm gonna find out everything I have to know about my boss. That way I build a network and I build a connection. Exclusion. I'm not worried about being included. I'm not worrying about getting a bunch of likes and love and all that shit. I'm not worried about that. I mean, it's a part of marketing, it's a part of branding, but I can get that, right? Having an exclusion, you know what I'm saying? An exclusion mind state. You know what I'm saying? Just thinking on my own terms, creating my own energy signature, basically creating something that identifies myself through something, right? And then creating an energy signature behind it where people are reminding of it through me, and then, you know, building a brand like that. Like in just an exclusive presentation. When I shop for things, I'm looking at its presentation. I'm not looking at how cheap it is. I'm not looking at the price tag, picking up, oh, this $9.99, this some bull. I'm gonna get this. I'm not thinking about it like that no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about it like, nigga, the fabric on it, the zippers on it, the buttons on it, will they last for me? Because I'm trying to rock this shit for 3 years. I got shit in my closet right the fuck now, and I'm so happy I'm picky. Because if I wasn't picky, I wouldn't have this shit I got shit in my closet right now that I had for fucking 5 years. Still in good condition. Because of the presentation. I look at things with a presentation. And some of y'all do too. Some of y'all think of things. Some of y'all think like this. Some of y'all have connections. Some of y'all already do all these things. Tradition. You know, doing things on a traditional level. That's one thing that we don't do. This the one thing as black people, I'm sorry to say, we don't do. You know, we don't do this with our time. You know what I'm saying? We don't do things as a tradition because of the absence of our history due to, you know, Napoleon coming through Egypt and burning up all our shit and shooting off the noses and all these people that stole our history. But we can bring it back. But our tradition is being reconditioned through music and being celebritized and entertained, almost like it's I call it entertainmentized. All right, like everything has an eyes, like we're being hypnotized and shit like that. Like it's being restructured where it's working into the favor of something else. It's not working into the favor of us. You know what I'm saying? And we need to build this prestige and this traditional way about us. Maintaining connections. Maintaining those connections. That's another thing. That's another thing that we have a problem with because of maybe our egos. I won't even get into a judgmental because that puts you in a dark place. And that puts you in a